Hi, my name is Tammy Bosley, and I am full-time communication faculty at Lorain County Community College. I am also the program coordinator for the communication department. Lorain County Community College is in Elyria, Ohio, which is about 20 minutes west of Cleveland. Our college has roughly 13,000 students. So the course that we offer online for communication is Interpersonal Communication. The goals of this course, first and foremost, have to do with theory. That's one of the most very core components of what we want students to encounter in here. We also want them to understand and evaluate their own interpersonal skills based on those theories that we teach them. We also address common barriers, so the things that keep people from engaging in communication effectively and efficiently. Items that we want our students to improve as a result of taking this course have to do with perception, language use, the way that we listen to others. One of the big things that we cover is proper expression of emotion, because emotional intelligence is one of the big things that we're studying right now. Also, we cover self-disclosure, creating positive relationship environments, and conflict negotiation, which is very key. We want our students to be able to accurately examine both their skills and deficiencies that they have as communicators, and so then that way they can improve as they go out into the job market. We also expect that they will gain greater self-knowledge as a result of this course. We want them to take what they learn in here with the theory and apply it to real life settings, because again, as I said initially, that's one of the most important things for the course. And then we also want them to develop a range of strategies that they can take with them as they have completed this course, so that no matter what job position they find themselves in or personal relationship, they have things that they can do to help them manage that. So in terms of assignments, there are a few major things that we include in the course. First, there's quizzes. Secondly, there's exams. There's several response activities. And then there's also essays. And as I go through this presentation, I'll be explaining each of those in a little more depth so that that all makes sense to everybody. In terms of delivery for this course, it is fully online. So successes and challenges will be really the main part of this presentation for you, so that you can learn from some of the challenges that we've overcome, and also perhaps you can replicate the things that have worked well for us. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit more about my institution. So Lorain County Community College, which we refer to as LCCC, is fully dedicated to online delivery of course material. We have a distance learning department, and we offer 500 classes that can be delivered online. So most of those are fully online, but there are some options where they're partially land-based with a web component to it. So if it was a class that met twice a week, they would meet one time in person in the classroom, and then the second meeting would happen online via our distance learning department. So the way that we do distance learning is that we have a learning management system, which actually we have a new system. We just moved from Angel to Canvas. So Canvas has been fully implemented now for 2 semesters. So with Canvas, that is the way that students access all of the course material for any of those 500 online classes that I mentioned that we have. We also fully offer a few degrees online. So again, for students who can't get to campus, students who have issues with things like that, there's definitely ways that they can manage their degree and obtain their degree fully online. We do have a great distance learning team, and I encourage anybody who's considering putting a class online, partner with those people. They're the experts with technology. Many of them have actually pursue their degrees with specialties in how to really teach effectively in an online setting. So some items that we haven't even considered, those professionals in distance learning can definitely bridge the gap between you having experience in the classroom versus now putting that course fully online for students. So what I did is I partnered with one team member specifically, and what she and I did is that we took 3 months to put the course online. Now, you might be saying 3 months is a long time to develop a course. So let me explain why we took that long. We had never had a course in communication that was offered fully online. And so we knew that this was important and that we wanted to do it right. We also wanted to make sure that we were definitely presenting the material with the same quality that students were getting in the land-based platform for this course. So once we looked at all the different course offerings that we had, we felt that interpersonal communication really offered the best fit for transferring that into an online platform. So for 3 months, we really did extensive research. We looked at the components of this class so that we could make sure that as we transferred it into an online setting, that things definitely held up and that students wouldn't feel frustrated getting this in an online setting versus in a face-to-face setting. We did a lot of quality checks along the way. We consulted with students to see what aspects they might like versus what they might not like in an online setting, and we just really wanted to involve them as much as possible. Also, once the course was implemented, we did a quality check so that at a couple of points our distance learning team went in and analyzed what was happening, and then at the end of that first semester that we offered the course, distance learning went in and actually graded what I did in the course and to look at how things came through for the students. So the first place we started in the development of interpersonal communication was the look and the feel. One of the reasons that was so important is because much of the research has indicated that we all come across colder in online settings. So the one item though that we did have difficulty with in terms of those narrated PowerPoints that we did was that they had to be done in a very specific software that our distance learning team utilizes. The software package is great, but it's very particular, and so certain web browsers will not run those lectures. Now, we told students that they had to use a certain web browser. However, they didn't always pay attention to that. So some students became very frustrated because they would try and use something that wasn't working, and then they insisted that the lectures were wrong. And so we definitely had to do a lot of explicit and detailed communication to make sure they used the proper web browser so that they could access the narrated PowerPoints. What's interesting is once they settled those issues, the students reported that they really enjoyed the narrated lectures. They said that it helped them with their reading, and they felt like they really understood the material, and it gave them good examples for how to use what they were learning in context of their jobs, relationships, families, and things like that. The second item that I want to talk to you about in terms of course development was how we were going to release the material once the course started. My fear was really twofold. First, that students would download everything immediately and be overwhelmed. And the other concern was that they would finish things too quickly and not really give the attention and time that each item needed in the course. And so the way that we worked around that is we decided to develop the course in modules. So for instance, our semester is 16 weeks long. So we have 16 modules. So each week is divided into a module. Within that module, there is that video announcement that I talked about earlier, and then it has the weekly assignments, quizzes, and any information that they need to access within that module. Modules are locked until Monday of that week, and then all assignments are due on Sundays. Students like the module approach. It's organized for them and they can easily access the material. So we definitely feel like the module design has been effective for the way that we transfer the land-based course into the online platform. Let's focus a little more on assignments. So I've kind of been talking about those in general senses, but let me be a little more specific in what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So first of all, there are 3 essays for this class. And each essay is assigned a specific context. So we cover a work context, a family context, and then something that is related to a relationship with a significant other. With the essays, students have to take a certain number of terms. The easiest one is 3 terms. I think the longest essay they do, they have to apply 7 terms. And so what they're required to do is to define those terms that they've learned and the theory from the course in their own words. Then what they have to do is describe a scenario based on one of those contexts that I just mentioned, and they have to apply that terminology in the context of whatever the given essay is. The final part of the essay requires students to describe how they would improve their skills with the knowledge that they now have based on what they're leaving the class with. So we're definitely trying to improve their successes for the future by making them come up with a detailed plan for how they'll communicate more effectively given a new opportunity. The other item in terms of homework is what I call response activities. And these are short assignments, usually based on about 10 to 20 points per assignment. They focus on things like perception. They're given a scenario and then they have to answer several questions. For the perception, it's a communication endeavor gone horribly wrong because 2 friends completely misperceive the intentions of the other. And so then there are 3 questions related to attribution theory and what they could have done better to improve their perceptions. Also do a paraphrase activity with students. Very important that students leave with this skill from an interpersonal class because that is one of the skills that employers are looking for, and also in just those family relationships, that's where we see more satisfaction, is when people feel validated through their partner paraphrasing what they were trying to communicate to each other. I also do a language activity where I give them very vague, general, often abstract sentences, and students have to restructure it using concrete, measurable terms. Now, the thing that we realized is that students needed more help completing these activities. When I do these in my land-based class, I'm right there in the classroom and I can kind of work with folks as they're working in small groups. Obviously, we can't do that in the online setting, so what I've done is I have set up personal tutoring. LCCC offers free tutoring on campus. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is an online class. How does that work? Well, fortunately, our tutoring center offers tutoring via Skype and FaceTime. So students who can't get to campus physically still can get that free tutoring specific to my class. The other problem that we had with assignments, essays, and those response activities is that students weren't accessing my feedback. So they could see the grade, they could see the rubric, but they weren't seeing any of the comments that I put as I was grading the assignments. And we found out that there were actually 3 steps that students had to go through to actually see my comments. Initially I was so confused because students would say, I don't know why I got a 7 out of 10. Can you explain this? And I would email back and say, it's all in my instructor comments. And they would come back, you see how this goes, they would come back and say, but there are no comments. So as soon as we realized that, we're very explicit now. Every time I grade an assignment or an essay, I send out a mass message. I'm just reiterating what those 3 steps are so that students can access my comments. The other graded item is weekly quizzes, and then there are 3 exams. Now, obviously, the concern in quizzes and exams in an online setting is cheating. So a couple of things that we did is we made sure that we locked down the browser. So when students go in and they're taking a test for this course, they cannot look at other sites during that. The other thing I did for quizzes, I wrote question banks, and then Canvas randomizes the questions that each student gets, so no two students would get the same quiz. For exams, I even took it a step further. Our publisher offered software that created massive test banks, and we downloaded those into the course, and then again Canvas has that random test item generator so that no two students are given the same item. So that seems to have worked very well for us. So interacting with students is the last thing that I want to talk to you about, because I think that really is the most important item of teaching an online course. You have to make that connection with students. It's easy for students to disappear in an online setting, and so I wanted to ensure that they were connecting with me and that I could help them when they were having problems. Luckily, Canvas offers several different options for communicating with students. First, we have the easiest one, which is just the basic email messages through Canvas. There's two other unique options though that Canvas gives. One is that I can go in and record an audio message that is sent to students through email. The other thing is I can actually record a full video message that is sent to them through email. So again, it's definitely decreasing that interpersonal distance between myself and students. The other nice option is that students can communicate with each other. They can email groups or individually. And what's interesting is students often find out their own answers. They often find out interesting workarounds for things that maybe are harder to access that we're not realizing from the professor perspective. So that's been another really good feature in terms of communication. What I like about the communication channels in Canvas is that I can either send them out to my entire class, I can pick a small group within the class, or I can send it just to individual students. So it really is easy, it's effective, and again, it definitely shortens that interpersonal distance. Overall, I think that transferring interpersonal communication into the online platform has been highly successful. This is the second semester that we're doing it. We've had 2 sections each time, so we have 30 students in each section. And so coming towards the end of the first year, I'm very happy with how things have gone. Definitely, encountered some challenges, but I think we overcame them well. And I definitely would encourage other colleges and universities, if you're considering just how do you even start offering classes online, I think interpersonal communication is a good subject that fits nicely and something that you can definitely be creative in how you deliver the content. So thank you very much for your time and attention and for the opportunity to share my experience. Thank you.